Hi, I'm Andrew, and the intention of this video is to help you to know what to do now that you've achieved the elite factor yourself and you want to duplicate that so that you can continue rank advancing and growing your organization. You've got the two tools that you need to actually achieve duplication. It's the build guide and the launch guide. Now, with the build guide, you've already invited most likely your new builders to be part of the doTERRA opportunity. You gave them an explanation of what building a pipeline looks like, and then you gave them the first 3 steps at the end of the build guide. I love these 3 steps because they're basically a filter for you. I've seen a lot of builders get frustrated because they'll think that they have a builder that's coming on board and it's not really a builder, it's just someone that they expect to be a builder. Does that make sense? So what these 3 steps at the end of the build guide allow you to do is they act as a filter for people who aren't actually going to take committed action in this opportunity. The bottom line with any kind of entrepreneurial opportunity is that you have to invest time and you have to do the actions to produce the desired results. So if somebody isn't willing to do business building activities from the beginning, they're most likely not willing to do many things along the pathway to the results that they say they wanted. So that's why we love these first 3 steps. If they do them, and they do them in a relatively efficient amount of time, then you know you've got a great person to work with, and that's where you should invest your time. So once they've gotten through the door, through that first level of filtration, now what do? This is the time to bust out the launch guide and to help these 3 builders do the exact same launch plan that you did. You've got the 12 steps in the Elite Factory in your launch guide. Let's review them here. So you see steps 1 through 12, these are the exact same things that you did, and literally this is what you want to lead your 3 new builders to do. They want to do the exact same processes of refining their contacts, of inviting people to come to presentations, and then of course you're going to guide them in their first few presentations just like your upline mentor guided you in your first presentations. Ideally, by the end of this process, you would have accomplished an elite factory with each of your 3 key builders, leaving them at elite and you at silver rank with your $1,500 Power of 3 structure put in place, or you're at least building toward that. Let's take a look at one of the pages in the launch guide that you reviewed before just to give you a visual depiction of what I'm describing. If you remember the page called Placement Training, there's a graphic depiction of what your elite factory looked like. And you remember here, you see at the top of your elite factory, you had your 3 key builders that you identified. And notice the verbiage that you see in the key. They're intentional builders. So they're not people that are maybe interested or thinking, could I do this? They're people that have already at least done those first 3 steps at the end of the build guide, okay? Now below that, you see what happens when you're duplicating the Elite Factory to help your 3 builders achieve that. So they've got a few of your enrollments interspersed in their organizations, but they're also doing their own enrolling and bringing their own contacts, their own customers, shares, and builders into the picture. So by the end of this whole process, you've got your 3 key builders underneath you that have successfully launched, and they are already working to launch their own builders. I want to emphasize something that is of vital importance in this process. If you trust this process and start deliberately creating momentum from the beginning, you will have a more successful journey overall. What happens when you take a long time to launch yourself to elite or to launch new builders to elite is that pattern tends to duplicate over and over again. So maybe the explanation that you hear from someone is, well, I've got the time, but I kind of just want to take it easy and see what happens with this. They're most likely going to attract builders that have the same mentality. And a year down the road, that person that originally said that they kind of want to take their time and see how it goes, they might feel some frustration because they're not receiving income that's proportional to the amount of time they've invested in doTERRA. Whereas, on the other hand, if you trust the launch process, and that's the pacing and the intensity with which you launch new builders, that's what will continue to duplicate. Even if seeing what you can do is the attitude and you do the launch plan in your first 30 days, the results will be much more direct and deliberate than if you just let it happen kind of by accident. So the invitation for you, again, is very simple. You've identified 3 intentional builders through your own launch process. If you haven't, contact your upline mentor and go back and do some contact prioritizing and deliberately find 3 intentional builders because you're going to need those to continue structuring your organization for further rank advancement. Once you've got your 3 intentional builders, you've had qualifying conversations, they've done the first 3 steps at the end of the build guide, go through the launch plan and invite them to trust this process just like you did, because this process, it works. And the experience that you'll all have together is going to be profound. When we talk about this word duplication, we always refer to it because it's one of the fundamental principles of successful network marketing. It's not just doing the things that duplicate, because there are certain actions that duplicate and certain ones that don't, right? Duplication, true duplication, is also about an attitude and an energy. And this is the attitude, the intention with which you continue to roll forward with your organization. It's not duplicating the launch plan and saying, here's your launch guide, you go do it now because I already did it myself, you do it yourself. It's a matter of facilitating these processes together, of nurturing up new builders and ultimately cultivating them so that they can step into leadership as they gain experience. And when this happens, that's when you step into your own ability to achieve higher ranks. And I'm talking about ranks like gold, platinum, diamond, and beyond, where you're becoming a true leader in this organization. If you remember what we taught at the beginning of this entire launch plan, we said that Elite is the fundamental rank for everything else in doTERRA. Well, even when you're going for Presidential Diamond, you're still focusing on Elite to some degree, maybe with some focuses on different areas, but the energy, the attitude, your intention to deliberately create your success and facilitate as much success as you can throughout your organization, it always remains the same. So now you know what to do to go and continue launching your next 3 builders in doTERRA.